Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pastor Bruce. Welcome to amvoice.net, One Man's Voice. Today is August 24th, 2018. And I want to talk to you about what's really going on out there. You see, there are people like Black Lives Matter saying, hey, they're raising money, they're trying to do things, they're trying to make people aware that Black lives matter. The only ones that they have to convince of that are the Democrats. And they're for the Democrats. So they're turning it around saying that we need to ensure that the Republicans know that Black Lives Matter. But how many deaths have occurred in Chicago under a Democrat mayor, Emmanuel? And where is the money that Black Lives Matter is raising? Is it going to the inner cities of Chicago to help make it better? And let's talk about the football players taking a knee and protesting the injustice in this country against the black people. Well, there's no injustice. Not on the level that you think. But we've seen the injustice on the upper echelon, the so-called elites of this country. The prime example of what's going on right now. President Trump was investigated after he took office for colluding with the Russians and for impeding the investigation. Well, you have four of the top FBI people. Three of them are no longer there. One is there, and he's going up against the grand jury. He's going to be gone shortly. You have people that are sitting there saying things about the president that are not true. Yet, you don't hear it. You don't hear the news media coming out accusing these people. Brandon, what is that, the ex-CIA officer? Now, if you look at what he has done over the course of years under the Obama administration, he's a buffoon. He's made more mistakes and gaffes than you and I put together. And the mainstream media hated this guy, looked down upon this guy until he came out and leaked secrets and went to work for CNN, bad-mouthing the President of the United States. Now he's the greatest man in the world according to the left. Hatred is based on lack of facts. And for the Democratic people that are out there that just say, I hate the president, and are asked why, how can you hate a man that has more jobs in this country than people? He created that scenario, and it's working. How can you hate a man that's brought business back into America to hire the American people and pay them a better wage? You may not know it because the mainstream media will not tell you, but he's also been slowly working at creating a better health care plan for everyone. And hopefully, I'm not sure, I haven't really looked into it, but I hope that it's out of the hands of the federal government. Why? The federal government has their hands in the Social Security Trust Fund. That's a fund that's there for us. We put money into it. We should get money out of it. Okay? That's the way it works. It's a trust fund. When we hit 65, we're allowed to take money out of there. But according to the Democrats, that tax money is theirs to spend, not ours. You see? And it's in the news. You just got to go back and listen to these newsreels over the course of the last 30 years and listen to the destruction of the Democratic Party of this country. Starting with even more than 30 years, go back to 1963 when they took prayer out of school. One person decided that a whole nation should not pray in school. He's not a Republican, people. He was a Democrat. And Roe versus Wade is a Democrat fighting for women's rights. Well, if you go back and study women's rights, or the Roe versus Wade, it's not about women's right with their body. Because if that's the case, if they're given the right to do whatever they want with their body, why can't they sell a kidney or a lung? Why can't they have their legs cut off and sold their legs? Because they don't have a right to do anything they want with their body. If a woman sits there and wants to die, they can't say, okay, it's against the law. I don't want my body anymore. I want to get rid of it, so I'm going to kill myself. It's against the law. So women don't have a right to choose what happens with their body. All Roe versus Wade was about the doctors not being criminalized for performing abortions. That's all it is. It was about them not being criminalized and for them being able to make $375 an abortion. The amount of money. And in here, they were trying to say, should there be time periods? And one thing, should it only be if the woman is in danger because of the baby? And I watched a panel back years ago where the panel of doctors, one woman doctor sat there and said that every woman that comes in that wants an abortion is in fear for her life because of the baby. I'm going to give her an abortion. That has nothing to do with what Roe versus Wade was all about. That's about a doctor saying, I'll do whatever I want to do, and you can't tell me anything different. So what happens if they would have passed that? She would have said, well, yep, that baby's endangering her life. We're going to kill her. Or it. You know, we fight for the rights of the American people. We're fighting for the rights. Black Lives Matter is fighting for the equality of blacks in this country. But nobody fights for the equality of the unborn. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The preamble. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Now, simply put, ladies and gentlemen, one egg, one sperm. There's not a person out there, man, woman, or child, that has been created any other way. If they are, they're not human. Okay? If they're created under a rock, in a tree, in a nest, in an egg, they're not humans. They may look human, but they're not, because they're not created equally according to the Constitution. And we are endowed by our creators, our creator, and you can look at that in two different ways. From a religious aspect, God the Father. From a secular aspect, the parents who created that child. And so when you understand Roe versus Wade used 0 precedents, that means they didn't bother to go back and read the Constitution to see if it was constitutionally right for Roe versus Wade to pass. But just in the preamble, parents give their unborn the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay? That's what the Constitution is about. But when you take unborn children and kill them, you've taken away their right to life. You've taken away their right to liberty, freedom. You may have killed already the doctor that cured AIDS. You might have killed the doctor that cured MS, or the scientist. You might have killed the scientist who could have created an alternative fuel source other than coal and oil. You could have killed the doctor or the politician that could have been raised up to make this country greater than what it's ever been before, while at the same time equally distributing funds around the world to help people. You could have killed these people off. Who knows why? Because it's called cutting your nose off to spite your face. And you say, well, it's for the poor. Roe versus Wade is not for the poor. Roe versus Wade is for every woman out there who screwed up, got pregnant, and wanted to get rid of it. It's not hers. It's not her husband's. It's someone that she didn't like. It's she might have been raped, and even then, I kind of question that, but we'll leave rape out of it for a while. But this is the question. It's because we don't have enough money. You talk to parents around the world, and they'll tell you they never have enough money to have children. I know a couple that has 5 children, and they got pregnant to have the 6th. Do they make enough money? They barely make ends meet. They really do. They barely make ends meet. So understand that, people. Understand that it's not about the money. And it's the rich out there telling the poor, have abortions, have abortions. It's the rich that are sitting there saying we need these laws in no effect. Why? Because if we kill off the American people, especially the American white people, then we invoke what truly God wants. The mixing of all races to become one race in this world. That means there's no white, there's no black, there's no Latino. As one author put it in the year 2025, which I don't see happening now, but in the year 2025, the American is going to be kinky hair, slanted eye, brown skin, speaking Spanish or speaking English. In other words, the intermixing between blacks and Latinos and whites in this country is going to change what the American people look like. But if you study the God and the fact that 6 colors were created, those 6 colors have combined to create races around this world, you'll understand that it is inevitable that we all come together as one race. The Muslims don't believe this. The Muslims believe they are God's people. Okay? And now, I don't care if you talk nirvana, heaven, I don't care what you call it. But there's no way anybody's getting 70 virgins in their next lifetime. But yet, that's the propaganda that they use to convince people to kill other people for Allah. If you understand Allah, Allah is God. And Jesus spoke of God. Now understand that the Muslims acknowledge Jesus as a prophet and acknowledge Mary as the mother of the prophet. But Jesus went around saying God is love. And if God is love, then you can't kill in the name of Allah. Because love does not kill. Hatred kills. Hatred kills. Hatred stifles free speech. Hatred enslaves people. Hatred murders the innocent. Hatred for what's good, decent, and honest destroys a world, a country, a community. That's what the Democrats' leadership is about, people. If you don't understand that, if you don't see the truth about what's going out there, you're going to fall into a socialist government that is going to take away your rights, going to take away everything that you have to give it to people around the world who are too lazy or too stupid to make it for themselves. They want the UN to run the world, the UN government, which they talk about equal distribution of funds. It's the Agenda 2030, UN Agenda 2030. The distribution of funds around the world from individuals and governments. And it will be taken by force if necessary. Think about that. That's socialism. You don't have a right to what you have. We'll tell you what you have a right for. So understand that, people. Socialism is a mistake. Has been, always will be. And again, the question is this. Why is it that people from socialist countries come here to America for a better life, but no socialist in America will run to another country for a better life? It's because there is no better than a democratic republic with a capitalist system. Last point I want to bring out here is this. They're talking about illegals coming to this country. Nancy, not Nancy, uh, Warren, she ought to be fired from her position. Talking about the equality. She doesn't care the fact that an eighth grade educated individual came to this country illegally, falsified his name to get into this country, according to Justice and ICE, kills a girl, and they don't care. She doesn't care about that. What she cares about is trying to get better immigration laws. She insults every true American in this country. And understand he comes from Mexico, and Mexico is a socialist nation. Socialism comes to America to make things better. No, they're coming to America to destroy us. And we have people like Cortez, and she's shown her ignorance. She really has. By not understanding what she's saying. I mean, think about it. Unemployment is down because why? People have 2 jobs. No. Okay. So understand, it's important to work for the good that's for everyone, not just for the few. And it is just the few. It's the loudmouth actors and actresses, the rich crybabies. A lot of them don't have a decent education. All they have is an education in arts and entertainment. Some of them don't even have that. Some of them are dropouts from college. And they go in, and because they can read someone else's words and act foolishly on television or on the main screen, and they get noticed, recognized, and they get awards, and they're paid millions upon millions of dollars for that. You want equality? I guarantee you that if we go to socialism in this country, that top actors will still continue to make their $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million a movie. They'll still continue to make $7,000, $8,000, maybe even $1 million an episode for TV. They'll still continue to make their money while you, the American people, suffer. And they could care less. They really could. This kid is an 8th grade education, not even a high school education. Kills an American citizen. And all the left can talk about is equality for illegal aliens. It's sad, people. This is socialism at its best. You have a chance to change that this next election by voting Republicans into office. Now, am I happy with the Republican Party? No, not necessarily so. I'm not. But I am concerned about what happens if the Democrats take control. We get rid of the Democratic Party. Let's create a second party that is for the American people, not for the socialism of the world, not for globalism of the world, but for the American people, so that we can continue to grow and we can continue to have a 2-party system. Understand that Democrats don't exist anymore. And if you're voting for a Democrat, you're not voting. If you're a Democrat, let's put it that way, voting Democrat, you're not voting Democrat, you're voting socialism. You're voting obstructionism. That's what they came out and said. We will obstruct this president any way we can. And they're the Obstructionist Party, not the Democratic Party. So understand that. And for those that are out there talking the same agenda that President Trump is talking about, when asked, will you support the president? The answer is no, but the president's doing exactly what they want. But they won't support him. They'll support Nancy Pelosi to create a socialist government. With that, I want to say thank you, everyone. God bless. Have yourself a great weekend, and we will talk again soon.